Stop scrolling. What would you do if you were called to do something you didn't want to do? This is the story of a man who thought he could run away from God. You won't believe how it ends. Let's step back in time to biblical Israel and meet Jonah, a prophet with a divine mission he didn't want to undertake. Jonah was a man of Israel, a prophet chosen by God. One day, God told Jonah to go to Nineveh, a vast city filled with sin and rebellion. "Proclaim my judgment upon them," God commanded, "for their wickedness has become unbearable." Now Jonah, being human like us, didn't like this task. Why? Nineveh was the capital of Assyria, a nation dreaded and hated by Jonah's people. He was certain they didn't deserve God's mercy. Instead of heading to Nineveh, Jonah decided to flee. He made his way to Joppa, a bustling port city, to find a ship sailing to Tarshish, as far from Nineveh as possible. Jonah thought he could escape God's call. But can anyone really run from the Creator of the universe? As Jonah boarded the ship and it set sail, he felt a temporary sense of relief. However, his peace was short-lived. Out at sea, God sent a great storm. The winds roared and waves towered menacingly over the wooden ship. The sailors were terrified. They were seasoned men of the sea, but this storm was unlike anything they had encountered before. They threw cargo overboard, prayed to their gods, and did everything in their power to save the ship. But nothing worked. Meanwhile, Jonah was asleep in the hull of the ship, oblivious to the chaos above. The captain found him and shouted, "How can you sleep? Get up and call on your God. Maybe he will take notice of us so that we will not perish." The sailors cast lots to find out who was responsible for their misfortune, and the lot fell to Jonah. They turned to him and asked, "Who are you? What have you done?" Jonah confessed. He told them he was a Hebrew who worshipped the Lord, the God of heaven who made the sea and dry land. He admitted that he was fleeing from God, and the storm was his fault. The sailors were utterly astonished and asked, "What should we do to make the sea calm down for us?" Jonah told them, "Pick me up and throw me into the sea. Then the sea will become calm. I know that this great storm is because of me." Reluctantly, the sailors did as Jonah said. As soon as Jonah hit the water, the storm ceased, and the sea became calm. The sailors were overwhelmed with awe and offered sacrifices to the Lord, vowing to serve him. But Jonah's story doesn't end here. As he sank into the depths of the sea, God sent a great fish to swallow him. Jonah didn't die. Instead, he found himself in the belly of the fish, alive but utterly helpless. For 3 days and 3 nights, Jonah remained inside the fish, praying, repenting, and worshiping God. He cried out with gratitude that God had spared his life despite Jonah's disobedience. Finally, God commanded the fish to vomit Jonah onto dry land. Jonah was given a second chance. This time, he obeyed. He went to Nineveh and proclaimed God's message. 40 days and Nineveh will be overthrown. To Jonah's astonishment, the people of Nineveh listened. From the king to the commoner, they repented, fasting in sackcloth and ashes, and turning from their wicked ways. Because of their repentance, God relented and showed them mercy, sparing the city from destruction. But Jonah wasn't happy. He was angry that God had shown mercy to such a wicked city. He went out of the city and sat down, waiting to see what would become of it. God, in his infinite patience, used a vine to teach Jonah a lesson. He caused a plant to grow over Jonah, providing him shade and relief from the scorching sun. But the next day, God sent a worm to attack the plant, and it withered away. Jonah was so upset about the plant that he wished to die. God asked Jonah, "Is it right for you to be angry about the plant?" Jonah replied, "Yes, it is." Then the Lord said, "You are concerned about a plant, though you did not tend it or make it grow. It sprang up overnight and died overnight. Should I not have concern for the great city of Nineveh, in which there are more than 120,000 people who cannot tell their right hand from their left, and also many animals?" The story of Jonah is about more than a big fish. It's about obedience, God's mercy, and his love for all people, even those we may think are undeserving. It reminds us that no one is beyond the reach of God's compassion and forgiveness. So, what's your Nineveh? What is God asking you to do that you're resisting? Remember, you can't run from God. His love will pursue you until you fulfill His purpose for your life.